didn't really know what schizophrenia was. You hear all sorts of things, and as yet, no one really has come up with a definite answer.
It's a nasty illness. It's a pretty horrific illness to have. You know, it drives some people to suicide. Music helped me through all my darkest hours, you know, when I relied on music a lot to sort of help me as therapy, you know, to help me through these things, and also literature. Perhaps painting takes a third place, but reading, you know, being able to escape into a different world through literature and books, that certainly helped me a great deal.
I think Tom will always be vulnerable in certain ways. And I think it's that, you know, we've got to hope that he can get the correct help. And that he has, I believe he has this raw talent. It's come from somewhere. And nurtured, he can achieve great things.
Tom Leader is 22. He's been living with schizophrenia for 6 years. To the world outside, it's an illness surrounded by prejudice and misunderstanding. To Tom's mother, June Leader, it's a burden. She must help her son to cope with the condition through his life.
His father is Jewish, South African. Came over here at the age of about 19, and we lived together for some time, and very much wanted a child, so it wasn't because of reasons like that. We got married, but just before Tom was born, just a number of weeks before he was born. I realized I'd made a big mistake, and I did not want to remain married. I loved having a baby. It was something I'd always wanted, and having a boy was, I don't know, it was a big thing for me. And eventually, I think I told his father that, you know, I wanted to be out of the marriage, and he didn't want it and was terribly upset. And although it was tough, I think Tom always knew that he had me, and we were very close.
I remember once having his birthday party, and she actually fainted, and I thought she was dying, and I was in tears, you know, I was really, really upset by that. And she was sort of very, very good mother, you know, very, very caring and loving sort of person. They're okay, aren't they?
Is that the kind of moustache you're trying to get?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming along. It'll
Like a
come.
waltz.
I like this.
Oh yeah, it's Japanese, isn't it? It's almost like
And he got to the age of, I don't know, about 9 or 10. And he came home and he decided he wanted to change his name. And, you know, we just laughed. I was at this stage living with someone who I'd been living with for some years. So Tom thought of him then as a father. And we talked about it, and we just thought it was a phase that would pass.
I was sitting in front of the telly one day and I thought, I would like to be called something else, apart from Warren, which was my name then. I thought a few names came into my head, and I stuck on Tom, which is my name now, and I decided to change it. I never changed it by depot or anything like that. I was too young to really realise about that sort of thing, but it caused a lot of problems with my father, who refused to acknowledge this, and he thought it was like an attempt to get him out of my life, sort of thing, by changing my name that he'd given me.
He was absolutely no trouble. He was fairly quiet, but very confident in his own abilities. He'd got a place at Leeds Grammar School, you know, assisted, so we didn't have to pay fees. one of the brightest pupils there, I'm told. He had a certain group of friends that were also very bright lads, but he seemed to be very well liked.
I was 16. When I came back to school, things started to go wrong. I started to not do work, started to not turn up. The quality of my work sort of diminished.
He began to just withdraw from life, from his peers, and he was very lethargic, very tired. He'd spend all of Sunday in bed. And he was losing interest in the things which he'd once been really passionate about. So you hope it's just a teenage phase he's going through.
I think it was a part of the illness. That was very early onsets of the illness. I also explain it by sheer laziness as well, which is not something to be proud of. I did feel very guilty about not going to school, and I used to try and hide from the teachers when I actually did go to school, because, you know, they'd confront me and say, why haven't you been to school, and why, and I couldn't really handle that.
The man that Tom thought of as a father, we first split up when he was only 13. And Tom was devastated by this. But then, unfortunately, and I would take the blame, that this person kept coming back into our lives for the next few years. And so it only ended about this time we're talking of, when Tom was becoming very ill. So I think it may not have affected certain people, but I think Tom has a thin skin and a very artistic person.
For 10 years after they actually broke up, this man sort of bothered her, and there was a very disruptive element in her life. You know, kept once saying that he wanted to be back together with her, but not meaning any of it at all. And so I became like not a father figure, but I tried to protect my mum from this man who was, you know, who made her very upset.
I was always there for Tom, but there are certain areas of my life that I think you can't put your finger on blaming that, but it can't have helped either.
Too much of a jolt there. I mean, I know you're doing what it says, but it made me jump the first time you did it. You can pedal some of it to get a nice effect, but all of this, it's too busy, okay?
Although he's largely self-taught, Tom started piano lessons 3 months ago. He's preparing for his Grade 5 piano exam and for another new challenge, a special concert to publicise schizophrenia.
Don't do that. Go from there again.
The concert will be a test of Tom's endurance as well as his musical skills, and a milestone on his road to recovery.
See, here you can pedal that, okay? I'll let you pedal that, you're allowed. Okay. I think it's a lovely idea, and I just hope he gets over his nose enough to enjoy it. I don't want it to be sort of a panic stations thing. I think you should just feel comfortable with what you're going to do and enjoy it, because that's the whole point, isn't it? So.
It certainly is, yeah.
Yeah. So I know it's always good to be nervous, though. I think you should always be nervous. It gets the adrenaline going.
When Tom started an English degree at Keele University, he found the pressures too much, retreating within himself and neglecting his work. But his mother was amazed to discover he was finding an escape in music.
I was just knocked out by this lad who could sit there. And he taught himself to read music and to play. And nobody knew it. He was somehow able just to concentrate on that sphere of his life. And he seemed like he was blocking out all the other awful things that were happening to him.
Certainly when I was ill, I'd play a piece to transport me into another world, you know. Say if it was a Russian-sounding piece, you know, I'd be in Moscow with all the snowflakes coming down. Or a Spanish piece, you know, I'd be sitting on a beach in Spain or something. Music's got a great power to be able to transport you. And it certainly helped me, you know, in that way.
Always makes me cry on this. Grandma told me that if you put the cold water tap on.
Oh, if you put a spoon in your mouth, isn't it?
Really? I don't know that one. We were coming back in the car, and Tom said to me, "Do you hear voices in the flat, Mum?" And I said, "No, Tom, I don't hear anything in that flat apart from people around us." And he said that just recently he'd been hearing voices, and they were voices that were telling him how awful he was. The insults were all directed at himself.
The main one was that they would shoot me, or cut my fingers off if I played the piano again, or calling me, you know, insulting me and calling me a bastard and just being really, really cruel, implacably cruel. That's how it seemed to me. I thought there were people actually saying these things, so I personified these sort of voices in my mind.
And if he was in a room, it was like they were just outside the window, and that he never got to sleep because they were there all the time.
It was really bad. So it was like being in hell, I could imagine. It's having all these demons sort of tormenting you and torturing you for all the day. You know, when you slept, it was okay, but once you got up, you'd hear these. The voices would start, and I actually felt quite suicidal at one point. A few points. So I'd never go through with it, but I did, you know, hit my head against walls and things like that.
As the illness intensified, living a normal life became impossible.
Well, I used to hear voices on buses. People were talking, they'd be talking about me. I just used to get paranoid about it. And it became very distressing, so I decided to walk into town and back again. But now it's fine, you know, it's just like getting on a bus, it's just ordinary.
Tom has an appointment at Leeds Infirmary every 8 weeks. He takes 2 tablets a day to keep his illness under control. Doctors are keeping an eye on his progress.
It sounds as if things are going quite well at the moment, so
Yes.
I think it'd probably be worth just not rocking the boat and just keeping things as they stand. Because I think you were saying you're having a little nap in the afternoon.
I used to, I'm not anymore.
Right, so you're able to keep alert all during the day?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right, oh well that's good. We were talking about you reducing your medication, because I know that you wanted to stop it. Or...
I feel pretty drowsy after I take it, you know, it helps me get off to sleep. If I don't take it, I have trouble getting off to sleep.
Right.
Sometimes I forget, you know. Then I realise at about 3 in the morning when I couldn't get to sleep, I realise it's because I haven't taken my tablets.
A year ago, when the illness reached its peak, doctors decided Tom should be admitted as an inpatient to High Royd Psychiatric Hospital near Leeds. It was Tom's lowest point and an agonising time for his mother.
When he was in the hospital, I'd go to High Royd's and I'd sit in the reception area, and they'd go and get Tom out of bed, and he'd walk along the wall because he just couldn't seem to manage to get to me any other way.
It was a relief. It was actually a relief because they put me on heavy medication then, and it was just a massive relief from hearing all these voices all the time.
Because he's such a good-mannered lad, he'd say he'd make me a cup of tea. And it would take him so long and such a huge amount of effort to do that for me, you know. And we'd sit, and he would just have to excuse himself and go back to bed.
I felt sorry for her, yeah, quite often, because she must have been very worried, you know, really worried about me all the time, and really concerned about my safety and my you know, the state of my mind. And I felt sorry to put this pressure on her to feel that these sort of things.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Come in.
Thank you.
Tom arrives to take his grade 5 piano exam.
Blustery morning, isn't it?
It is blustery this morning. Right, would you like to come this way?
Right.
This episode that I have recorded in my diary was really when his illness reached crisis point. And so this is Sunday, 20th of December, 1992. He was quite groggy on the tablets, but after the first few days, he began to seem a little bit more lively. But on Thursday night, he said the voices were very loud and aggressive. And as he was sitting in my room, he started beating his head with his fist. He was actually answering the voices back. This was really awful for both of us. I'm hoping to have him home for Christmas, but we shall see. I'm feeling very tired and lonely, but I can cope, and I just want Tom to be well. I'm dreading Christmas in a way, but it will be nice to have him home.
As the concert approaches, Tom wants to hire a dinner jacket and bow tie from his local Oxfam shop.
Morning, can I help you? Morning, yes. I'm looking for a dinner jacket or tails.
Right, yes.
I've got
There's a
trousers.
selection here.
Yeah.
What
You know,
size
at
are
one
you?
time, he didn't want to do anything. He was frightened almost of going out.
Okay.
But now he gets himself around. He doesn't go out much socially, but I understand that. You know, friends are scattered. Sadly, I think everyone is afraid of mental illness. People do not cope with their fears very well, and so they tend to not understand that that person is still the same person.
Okay.
Saturday, the 24th of July. The flat seems permanently filled with music again, and it gives me great joy to see Tom's strong personality emerging, as if from hibernation. He's still a little reluctant to go out much, but we must just take things gradually. There are no quick solutions in dealing with mental health issues, but he is improving steadily. We must take things one step at a time. Well, for some time I didn't live any kind of personal life for the first few months of Tom coming out of hospital. I think we held ourselves up together and sort of hugged together for comfort, perhaps not in a physical sense, but we actually were very close in keeping the world out. Gradually, I've picked up on my life, and you get to know who your friends are.
If there's any sort of fairness in the universe, if there's any justice in the universe, things should get a lot better for her. excuse me, she's got a new boyfriend, which should be a really good thing for her. I hope it lasts, a very long time. I hope they're very happy together.
So listen, Tom, there's just something I've put on here for you. Where I am over the weekend, that's Chris's number.
Right.
And his address, just in case you need to speak to me. Yes, okay.
The weekend before the concert, June is spending 3 days in London with her new boyfriend.
Yeah, fine. Have a great time.
All right. And you take care.
Yeah, I will. It might come back at any time, So, you're supposed to stay on the tablets for a couple of years after you've actually had the illness. But thank God, for me, I was lucky. I may be one of the people that it will never sort of come back to. During the heyday of my illness, it's when its rampancy was full, I wouldn't have been able to go out to a bookshop. No, I'd have been too apprehensive of the voices and paranoia as well. When I was ill, it certainly got me through the day a lot. I read Dr. Zhivago when I was ill, and it took me about 3 months because my concentration wasn't very good. So I read about 2 or 3 pages a day. But if I hadn't for that, I wouldn't have got better. I don't think it's a great help.
That's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
10 is 20. There you go.
Right. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Last-minute rehearsals. Tom's had some good news. He's got a merit in his grade 5, but as the concert gets nearer, he's starting to feel the pressure.
I'm very nervous about it. I'm looking forward to it, but I am anxious about it. It explains that it's on the programme that it's not a concert pianist they're coming to hear. It's someone who's been playing for about 4 to 5 years.
I think he needs a few early nights and maybe a day off the day of the concert would be a good idea. Just got to aim on performance, haven't you now? There might be the odd wrong note, but if you play it beautifully musically and everything, that's what we're aiming for. So real performance and pizzazz in your new DJ that we've just even got.
If you're as bad as I was last year, there's no way down. You can only go up. And with the help of medication, I don't hear voices or anything now. I'm sort of, I hesitate to say the word cured, but that's how it appears.
I mean, Tom is very quiet, rather withdrawn sort of character. Not in the least bit violent. I don't think I've ever seen Tom violent. And this is the majority of people are like Tom.
I'd never thought of schizophrenia as being sort of an easy thing. I've learned, you do find who your friends are. Who are your real friends, not just fair weather friends. Because of the nature of the illness, it does carry a lot of stigma. It's like admitting that you're homosexual or you've got AIDS. It's one of those kind of things.
The big night. It's time for Tom to prove to himself and to others that he can overcome his illness.
Afterwards, we'll have a couple of drinks afterwards. Yes, I think it's lovely. I'm really pleased.
Tom, underneath everything, is a very gutsy, strong individual. I feel I'm worried more about not his future, but the way people perceive people like Tom. So, okay, he may not be the Tom that Tom was, but Another person has emerged, no less a person, but Tom is different.
Well, I hope to go back to university now that I'm sane and study music. And I hope in 10 years' time, you know, if I practice a lot every day, to be able to be at least an average concert pianist, you know. It's one of my ambitions.
Thank you all for coming, and thank you for all those other people who've helped to make tonight such a wonderful success. Thank you very much indeed.
Together we are still, cocooned in a safe house. Striking against this invisible force, I angrily search for clues or a reason why. And as my love reaches out to this familiar stranger, I peer into the blank eyes, and all I see is me.